So I got up, we ate lunch. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So I started taking the Klonopin, right? Anytime I start feeling those attacks come on, which it helped. And I was like, okay, this is working, right? Went back to the doctor. It was like 3 months that I was taking that Klonopin because it was only like take as needed. And that's what I was doing. And what I started doing was I was like, oh, my body's getting better. Let me start eating sugar. So what I started doing was having like these little snacks, right? Like they're like these little, it's called Nature's Bakery, these little fig bar snacks. And they actually have a lot of added sugar and a lot of sugar already in the fig, whatever's in them, plus the carbohydrates. So what I was doing was I was taking this Klonopin and eating these fig bars, not knowing that I was like dampering the those attacks that my body would, those actually what they are is warning signs, right? My body was giving me warning signs of saying your blood sugar is getting too high, right? Stop. That was my body like crying out to me. But I was taking the Klonopin, so it was like masking that feeling. So when I had gone to the doctor, they take an A1C test. It's basically like a measure scale to tell you where your blood sugar's at and how you're doing, right? Well, my blood sugar had gone back up because I had gone to the doctor before, and she tested it and it was like, it had come down. So from the date from the emergency room to going to see the doctor was about a 3-month span. So, because I finally was like, I need to go see a doctor because I need to make sure I know what my levels are. I want them to take my blood so I can see what my kidneys doing, my livers are doing, my levels. And so when I went 3 months after the hospital visit, I brought my A1C down. I brought my blood sugars down and I was feeling better, right? I was like, okay, I got this, praise Almighty. It's whatever we're doing is working, I told my husband. But when I was telling her I was still having those attacks, she gave me the Klonopin. So then I started taking the Klonopin. She said, I want to see you back in 3 months, right? So she had given me enough for 3 months. So it was only take as needed. So I was only taking them, like once a day, maybe, like when I start feeling that feeling. And, but I started eating sugar again. And when I went back to the doctor 3 months later, she checked my A1C and my A1C had climbed back up. And you want your A1C levels to be like an optimal A1C level is like a 4.7, right? Mine was 5.8. When you get into the 5.8, you're in pre-diabetes stage. When your A1C is past 5.9 into the sixes, you're full-blown diabetes, meaning you have a metabolic disorder. I mean, your body's not functioning right is what that means. So, and I did. She's like, how are you feeling? Are you sleeping better? And I was like, no, I feel like maybe I have this panic disorder. I've dealt with panic disorder before in my past, So she's like, okay, well, let's switch you from the Klonopin and put you on Xanax, right? And it was this, and I've heard about Xanax, but I wasn't aware that you could become addicted. Not addicted, but like your body becomes dependent, meaning your body will become addicted, but not like addictive behaviors where I'm like, oh, I need it. Like I wasn't fiending for it, but what happens is your body becomes like dependent on this medication because it deals with the brain chemicals and all kinds of stuff, right? So instead of me listening to my body when I was having those attacks and I started eating sugar again, like those little sweet treats, I was like masking that feeling. So I didn't know, right? And so I'd just take a Xanax and then I'd eat, or I'd take a Xanax and I'd go out to do this and do that. And, when I went back the fourth time, my blood sugars were elevated again. And I was like, okay, something has got to give, Iris. You can't keep living like this. You got to take this seriously. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get off the Xanax. I'm gonna stop taking the Xanax. It had been like 6 months, right? I was on that Xanax, the Klonopin first and then the Xanax. Well, guess what? My body had become dependent on Xanax. And I was starting to have withdrawals. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, my blood sugar's back up again. What am I doing? I stopped doing the sweet treats when they took my A1C and my blood sugar went back up. What's going on with my body? I started freaking out because my husband, he actually went on a fishing trip with my mother-in-law. And, they were out of town when I decided to stop taking the Xanax. I didn't know anything about withdrawals. I thought it was all my blood sugar. I was like, this can't be, because after taking my A1C test, I decided I'm going to stop eating sugar for real. And this can't be my blood sugar. Plus, I was taking my blood sugar every day.